I still remember the exact moment Margaret Ellison decided my ranch was her next conquest. It was a blistering August morning when her white Tesla glided up my gravel drive like a shark cutting calm water. The click-click-click of her designer heels on my porch boards sounded like a countdown to war. Margaret, president of the Pinecrest Estates HOA, stood there in a cream linen suit that had never seen a speck of Texas dust, waving a stack of official-looking papers. "This land is being developed, Mr. Caldwell, whether you cooperate or not." Her voice carried the polished certainty of someone who had never lost an argument. 6 months later, $180,000 of fresh asphalt now slices through my wildflower meadow where bluebonnets used to wave in the breeze. Every day her crews pour more concrete, adding thousands to their tab. Neighbors shake their heads at the feed store. "Why aren't you fighting, Henry?" Sue the pants off her. But they don't see the long game. While Margaret plays queen of the cul-de-sacs, I've been digging through my granddad's old trunk. What I found is about to turn her triumph into the costliest mistake in county history. My name is Henry Caldwell, and this 200-acre spread in the Texas Hill Country has been Caldwell land since 1923. Granddad taught me that dirt is more than property. It's family, sweat, and stories carved into every fence post. 3 years ago, cancer took my wife Laura, leaving $400,000 in medical bills even after insurance. Between that and property taxes climbing faster than kudzu, I've kept the place running by raising Angus, boarding trail horses, and giving weekend riding lessons to local kids. My daughter Claire is finishing her AG law degree at Texas A&M, and she smelled trouble before Margaret ever clicked across my porch. Margaret Ellison is a former Silicon Valley attorney who fled California for what she calls lifestyle arbitrage. She drives that Tesla like it's a crown, rules the 200 identical mansions of Pinecrest Estates, and pronounces words like agricultural with the same disdain most folks reserve for tax audits. Her first visit was about cow smells violating community standards. $3,000 in legal fees later, the county inspector admitted cattle do, in fact, produce odors. Revolutionary. Over the next 4 months, she became a one-woman complaint factory. Roosters at dawn. Water usage. Fence maintenance. Farm equipment visible from the road. Each gripe triggered inspections, more fees, and time I could not spare from actual work. She divided neighbors who had known me for decades. Property values, they muttered at the co-op. Progress. My friend Walt warned me over coffee. That woman won't stop until she owns every blade of grass from here to the interstate. What nobody knew was that I held the ace. 3 weeks after her latest tractor citation, Margaret thought she had found gold, a 1960s county survey showing a road easement straight through my north pasture. Tuesday morning her SUV rolled in, followed by a survey crew. Margaret stepped out in full courtroom armor, smiling like a cat with cream. "We're here to validate the emergency access easement from 1967. The surveyor unloaded gear worth more than my pickup. Most men would have run them off with a shotgun. I offered sweet tea and asked if I could film for my records. The look on her face was worth more than the tea. She expected a fight and got Sunday hospitality. I made calls while they measured and sprayed orange paint on my fence posts. Title company. Claire at A&M. Something smelled wrong, and it wasn't just the paint. 3 days later, Margaret filed to reactivate the dormant easement, complete with a 40-page traffic study and color charts. The county board scheduled a hearing. I had learned from Laura's medical fights that dormant easements need original signed agreements. Title search came back the night before. The 1967 survey was preliminary only. Granddad allowed measurement, but never signed the final easement. Buried in the notes, agreement void if primary use remains agricultural in perpetuity. The hearing room was packed. Margaret arrived with 2 lawyers and her engineer, ready to bury me in data. When my turn came, I read Granddad's clause aloud. "As long as cattle graze here, no easement exists." The board went into closed session and returned looking sheepish. Motion passes 3-2 for public safety. Margaret clicked out victorious on marble steps. She missed Claire in the back row, photographing every board member's face. That weekend her subdivision smelled of catered barbecue while I planned on the porch. Claire had discovered 2 voting board members were silent partners in Margaret's development LLC. The game had just begun. Armed with corruption evidence, I expected Margaret to fold. Instead, she escalated. Monday, the county inspector arrived shaking. Federal highway safety violations. Margaret stood behind him clutching a new study claiming emergency vehicles needed my land for response times. The inspector cited broken wire, barn lighting, and unsecured salt blocks. 30 days to fix $25,000 in imaginary problems or lose the ranch. I hired an independent inspector. Half the violations did not exist in code. While I drowned in paperwork, Margaret made her boldest play. Thursday at dawn, bulldozers rolled in like an invading army. I filmed from the fence as the foreman Pete shrugged. "Got orders, Mr. Caldwell. Permits are good." I stepped back and let them dig. Every shovelful was money in my future damages claim. By Friday, they blocked the creek. 50 head of cattle milled confused while wildflowers vanished under gravel. That evening, Margaret filed a restraining order claiming I threatened workers. Judge Harlan, who golfs with her husband, granted it without my side. I was legally barred from my own north pasture. Saturday, Claire called breathless. Margaret's California law license suspended for client theft. Owes IRS $47,000. Construction permits forged. Pete on video admitting he followed verbal orders only. Sunday, I sat where my prize bull Lightning used to graze, listening to distant machinery. Margaret thought killing my spirit would break me. She had just motivated me to destroy everything she built. Granddad's trunk held more than memories. Tucked in a leather folder was the 1924 Agricultural Preservation Covenant. It prohibited non-agricultural development within 500 feet of ranch buildings. Margaret's entire subdivision sat inside that zone. Potential damages, $2.3 million across 47 homes. Claire returned with her Professor Dr. Elena Morales. This covenant is ironclad, recorded, and predates every house. It runs with the land forever. Enforcement could bankrupt the HOA. But risk exists. If we lose, countersuits for tortious interference. I chose patience. Let Margaret finish the road. Every dollar spent deepens her grave. We built a legal army. Retired Judge Walter Brooks testified for free, tired of California money trampling Texas heritage. Professor Maria Lopez from A&M's Environmental Clinic documented wetlands destruction. Comanche attorney Ruth Redhawk added Clean Water Act violations. Ranchers statewide donated $45,000 to the defense fund. Margaret panicked. She cut century-old oaks at midnight. Insurance claim, $50,000. Hired $800 an hour attorney Victor Lang to claim the covenant was racist relic. Fake news painted me as extremist. Social media blitz traced to her IP. Construction company sued HOA for $300,000 unpaid bills. Court day the gallery overflowed. Margaret arrived with private security. Judge Patricia Nguyen from Austin presided. Lang opened painting me as bigot hiding behind discriminatory law. Professor Lopez presented Granddad's photos with Mexican hands, letters thanking him for jobs. This covenant preserved opportunity, not exclusion. Claire played recordings. Margaret bribing the clerk to lose documents. Digital forensics linked defamation to her accounts. FBI agent Lisa Wong stood. Warrants for arrest, conspiracy, bribery, racketeering. Margaret was cuffed mid-sentence, heels scraping marble. Judge ruled covenant valid. Construction halted. Full restoration at HOA expense. $125,000 personal damages to me. Margaret pled guilty. 18 months probation, $50,000 restitution, permanent disbarment, 200 hours community service on organic farms. HOA bankrupt. New board apologized and funded restoration. State passed Caldwell Agricultural Heritage Act making fraudulent grabs felonies. Lightning's pasture became Laura's garden. We grow vegetables for food banks, teach writing, host workshops. Annual Lightning Memorial Rodeo draws thousands. Claire graduated top of class, now saving farms statewide. Granddaughter rides where her namesake grazed. Margaret works paralegal in California for $15 an hour, driving a used Civic. Sometimes justice smells like fresh-turned soil and tastes like sweet tea on a quiet porch. What about you? Ever face a bully who thought money beats right? Did you fight fire with fire or let them burn themselves out? Drop your story below. I read every one. And take a stand. When injustice cuts through your fence, do you meet it with rage or with receipts thick enough to bury it? Speak up. The truth loves company.